I don't have a gavel, so I can just clap. But welcome, everyone. I'll ask everyone to take a seat, and we'll get things going here. We've got a jam-packed agenda. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and taking part in our civic process. The time is now 6:30, and the date is September 18th, 2025. And I'm calling this meeting of the Development Review Board for the City of Winooski to order. The DRB is a quasi-judicial, I'm getting like a little feedback. Can we like, yeah. DRB is a quasi-judicial volunteer resident board that upholds standards and procedures as defined in the Winooski zoning ordinance. We review and make decisions on subdivisions, site plans, conditional use, variances, and appeals of the zoning administrator's determinations. The DRB has authority through Vermont state statute and ensures due process, protects the rights of applicants and rights of the public to participate in proposals for land development within the city of Winooski. Appeals of decisions made by the DRB are heard by the Vermont Superior Court Environmental Division and the Vermont Supreme Court. I am Harlan Miller, the board chair. David Weisberger is our vice chair. Elsa Goodrich is our board secretary. The board also consists of Aaron Goyette and Jordan Matt. First, we like to hear any changes to the agenda, and I don't think we have any this evening. Perfect. As part of Vermont's open meeting law, we do grant an opportunity for public comment at every meeting. If anyone would like to comment about anything that is not on the agenda this evening, this is your opportunity. Perfect. I want to remind everyone in the audience to sign in, especially if you're going to be making testimony this evening. And I would also like to swear in anyone who plans on giving testimony. We'll do a very simple, do we raise our hand? I forget. Raise your hand.
I think it's on the second page.
Yes, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury? Yes. Beautiful. So, the first thing on our agenda this evening is to approve the previous meeting's minutes. I was not here in May, so I will abstain, but David, Elsie, Jordan, and Aaron were all present. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes as proposed.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we're on to the next discussion. So tonight we have two items on the agenda. First is going to be 255 Lafountain Street, a sketch plan review meeting, and after that we will hear testimony related to a sketch plan review for 41 Manseau. So for 255 Lafountain Street, first we will call up the applicant or the applicant's representative to give us a little background about the project, let us know what they are proposing. A couple of our board members are recusing themselves due to conflicts with the project. Is that right? Did I say that right? Perfect. Now I'm all here by myself, but that's okay. Just be the lone member down here. Perfect. Okay, welcome. Introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you're proposing.
Sure, thanks. Hello, everybody. My name is Miranda Lascaz, and I'm from the Champlain Housing Trust. And I'm here with Greg Dixon, our civil engineer, and Dave Roy from Wiebe Lamphere, our architect. And thanks for having us tonight and have this opportunity to have some input on our proposed project. CHT and my colleague Javier is also here with me tonight. We're proposing to build new permanently affordable homes in Winooski to help meet the housing needs of the city. The city's been working with the Air National Guard since they announced their plans to sell the site of the Armory. And the city issued an RFP for a developer who would develop affordable homes. We've developed a proposed project that meets the city's priorities. The city's priorities were both a combination of rental apartments and home ownership units for sale. And we're proposing 24 apartments and 6 homes for sale. Also a priority was a focus on large bedroom units to meet the needs of families. And we're interested in your review and feedback for this project that would build in 2 phases. They're financed separately, so phase 1 is the 4 rental buildings towards the top of the screen. And those are proposed 4 buildings of 6 apartments each. And later, a second phase, which would be the 3 duplexes towards the bottom of the screen for 6 homes for sale. We think it's a great location for families. It's near the school and bus lines, near downtown. And we've proposed a total of 30 homes on the site in trying to respect the surrounding residential neighborhood. So I'd like to, just with that overview, turn it over to our design engineers for any questions you might have.
Awesome, thank you.
I guess to add a little bit more to that too, this will be a planned unit development, obviously, because it is 1 parcel now. The parcel will eventually be divided into 4 separate parcels, with the duplex units each having 1 parcel, and then all the larger buildings will be on a single parcel. As discussed, it is in 2 phases, but the majority of the infrastructure would be built in that first phase. As you can see, most of it is on that parcel, and we would just sort of build the infrastructure ready for the second phase.
Anything else to add?
I guess one further thing, I mean, there are a few items that we have come to also ask the board for some clarification. We believe a lot of it is wrapped into the PUD specifications. Internal setbacks for the buildings out in front of the street. We are looking to reduce those in between the actual buildings, but the outside would still have the correct setbacks for this district. We are also looking, the couple of new parcels in front are also do not meet the minimum depth requirements. So we're going to see how the board felt with that being PUD, as well as the area requirements for those parcels as well. And I believe another item which we can get into and talk more at length is we're proposing not kind of having doors on Park Street. Instead, all the doors would be interior to the parcel, but we're wondering how the board felt about not having like
an entry component
to Park Street.
Yep.
Sure. Do you want to get into the specifics of those? So those are variances you're asking for?
Well,
a waiver, yeah.
that was the question with it being a waiver or a variance, being that it's a PUD, which does allow some ability to ask for those. So
Yep.
yeah.
And do you have a framework for that laid out that you want to kind of present, show where you're looking at the setbacks, or is that on the drawings yet, or we haven't moved to that level?
I mean,
of
if you
granularity?
wanted to zoom into the front lots,
2, 3, and 4, yeah.
you can kind of see the property lines follow those trees in between them.
Sure.
And we hold the 10-foot setback from the outside edge, but in between those buildings will only be about, I think, 12 feet.
Yeah, about 12 to 14 feet.
And so they wouldn't be the full 20 feet that would be required.
Yeah.
And so we'd be asking to reduce that to what is needed, so somewhere between 6 and 7 feet
Sure.
between that and the property line.
Okay, and so that's the minimum setback between the duplexes. And then there was a minimum depth.
There's a minimum depth requirement for this area of 100 feet, and I believe we are closer to 90,
88, something
88.
like that, yeah. We were short about 12 feet, so the vertical distance from the front along Lafountain Street up is, the lot depth does not meet 100 feet.
For these smaller ones?
For the small ones, yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that was mostly just to avoid a lot of, to have the property line be directly in the middle of the driveway.
Yeah.
And to avoid a lot of
Yep.
easements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that's why we did that. And obviously with them not being the full 100 feet in depth, the square footage is also less than is what is required, but again, not by a whole lot.
Other questions from the board?
Wondering how many bedrooms per unit are planned?
So if you can pan back, each building, they're relatively similar in many circumstances. One of them has an office, one of them has a bike storage, but they're essentially a 4-bedroom flat on the first floor. And then there are 2 townhouse, let me rephrase that. There are 2 flats. You enter the center of the building, there's a flat on each side that is 4 bedrooms each. So it'd be 8 bedrooms on the first floor. And then on the upper floors, there's 2 townhouse units on each side. So total 4 townhouse units on each side with 3 bedrooms each.
Townhouse, they're 2 stories.
2 stories, yeah.
Yeah.
You enter on the 2nd level, and then within you gain access to the 3rd level within the unit.
So
Do we have any
32 bedrooms per
Per
building.
building, yes, yeah. Yeah, these are meant for families, larger families, lots of kids, so.
Do we have elevation drawings?
No, we do not, but that is a requirement for preliminary plan review.
Yep. Any other questions from the board? Okay, so I'll propose, we'll have you guys take a seat, we'll take some public comment,
Yep.
and then we'll likely call you back up for some more questions.
Okay, we'll be here.
Yep, so, good point, so we'll start taking some public commentary, a couple things to keep in mind. One, we have a lot of people here tonight, so, everyone gets their chance to speak, but please, try to limit your time so that we can get through and hear everyone. Also, the procedure, that we work through here, public members will address the board, not the applicant. You can ask questions to us, and we can, yeah, sorry, can't hear me, sorry. Ask your questions to me, to the board, and we will invite the applicant back up and we'll ask them questions. That's the way it works, so. Who wants to go first and fight the jet noise? Come on up, sir. We'll take a quick minute too if you want to wait for the jets.
You'll probably hear me over that. I'm Jeff Myers, owns the property on Manseau Street.
I think that's the last one, 3 or 4.
Usually 4. No, there's another one.
All right.
Okay, thank you. I own a duplex on Manseau Street, which my mom lives on one side. I own a lot on Hood Street that you can see this, residential on Russell and a residential on Gamblin Court. So, one thing I want to point out before we get going, some people that can't perspective what, on Manseau Street, what we're gonna have to look at it from on my fence line, I believe it's a 10-yard setback. In the back, I believe that's what's proposed, 10 feet. So in perspective, if everybody looked out that window and sat where that stop sign is right there across the street, literally, that's your fence line on Manseau Street. You're gonna be looking at that 3-story building plus a peak, right at that stop sign. To give someone a visual before I go. So, some of my concerns, the 2 important things, I'm not against the project. I don't think this is a great spot for it. We have neighborhoods for it, great single-family home, duplexes, not 3.5 stories or 3 stories plus peaks. They're not proposing a fence on Manseau Street. This, to me, this is overbuilt on this lot. One of the codes, if you may, does say that in R1 AB district, that it has to conform and meet with the rest of the surrounding area. This 100%, as we all know, does not meet, and that is a code in your book. So that does not meet this code. The other question I have is, has a waiver, they're asking for a waiver of 2 lots to the minimum lot depth and minimum size. Has a waiver ever been, I don't believe a waiver has ever been given like that before in this city.
Can't speak to it.
So I got a
don't know
concern.
everything that we've done.
I got a concern over that.
Yep.
The last meeting I was at, they clearly looked at all of us and said 24 units. Clearly total. Now it's 30. The other thing at the last meeting, I suggested the city sends a letter out to all the neighbors. They did, great job. The meeting was canceled. We have another meeting tonight, they didn't send a letter out again. Now, if I was doing that as an individual developer, you guys, you'd sit right here and say, I'm trying to sweep something underneath the carpet. I don't think they are, and there's a good crowd here tonight, so I'm happy with that. But that wasn't what the city told me that last time. They were gonna send letters out, and they didn't. So we'll get back to the project itself. Again, I think it's a good project. I just don't think there's a spot for it. We do need affordable housing. As you folks know, I own a lot of housing in Winooski, and we try to put the buildings where they should be built. Take, for instance, for JR's 4 stories that I have. Take the commercial off that, or take the Winooski block, take the commercial off that, and take Winooski block and put it there on that lot. That's what those people are gonna have to look at, a large parking lot. I don't think this is the neighborhood, the fit, and I could go on and go on and go on. The affordable housing I know we need, but it's just 100%, and I got 100 notes here, but we'll give everybody else a chance. This does not conform. Number one, it's to your guys' code, and it doesn't fit into that neighborhood. It will just look like someone dropped a bomb there. Take the armory, put another armory on top of it, and another one on the side of it. That's what it'll look like to me. And I don't think those people in that neighborhood deserve that up there. And again, I want to stress that I think the city should have did a better job, like they promised us 2 meetings ago, that they would send letters out. So I'll let everybody else talk. And we got time, I might come back.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hey, welcome. Introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Paul Abidu, live on Dine Street. I just have one question. I'm just curious. When they say affordable housing and "24 affordable housing units and 6 for sale," what's your definition of an affordable house? What are the rents going to be? And will that entitle or be like Section 8 housing where you have federal assistance? Or I'm just curious as to what they're going to be charging and how they define affordable housing.
Sure. Thank you.
How you doing? My name's Jason. Formerly a butter to this property on Manseau Street. Still own it now on Lafountain Street. So I've got a couple concerns. One being that this is the lowest density district in Winooski, and this is some significant density housing proposed for this. And I think that if people have not been to Franklin Street, where there's a 3-story building going up, basically on top of their neighbors, it'd be a good example to go see that development that's happening, that's been approved. It looks ridiculous, and I'd be pretty upset if I were that neighbor, that they now have no privacy. In addition to that, I don't know where the 13.8 PM for a traffic number came up. Seems kind of made up, honestly, for that many units and that many bedrooms. But there's already a significant issue with Dion Street pulling out onto East Allen. I don't know how many accidents have happened there. If there haven't been any yet, there definitely will be eventually, especially if you add in this to the traffic flow. Additionally, Lafountain Street has somehow turned into a cut-through shortcut for a lot of traffic from Main Street to East Allen, where people are exceeding speed limits, running through stop signs, rolling through stop signs, whatever. So increasing more traffic through that street is not safe for kids that run around, limited sidewalk space. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic there, and people are going fast. And so you're adding more traffic, more fast traffic, and I think that's a danger to pedestrians and unfair to the neighbors. Kind of back to the density component, 3 stories, I think for this neighborhood is far too much. I have no problem with units being built here. Obviously, it's going to happen, but 3 stories I don't think conforms well to the neighborhood, and really it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. You might as well throw it in the circle downtown. I think it would fit better there. Lastly, I think the proportion of affordable rentals versus affordable to own is kind of inverse to what it should be for the neighborhood. I think the neighborhood is predominantly owner-occupied, and therefore, to conform well to the neighborhood, it should have an inverse rent-to-own ratio. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Welcome.
My name is Kate Coffey. I live on Manseau Street, right by city something, one of the city buildings. And other building there by Summit. I asked a lot of questions when those buildings came through. And I didn't ask the right questions, I guess, because the amount of parking that is on the street wasn't, I don't feel like the city did an adequate job explaining to the neighbors what's going on, what would happen, that no, not all of the cars are going to be on this property. Let me say, I don't believe that I think that paving over places, anything green, to make more parking is the right answer here. Sure. But I do think that this board and the city has a responsibility to let the neighbors know that all the way around Park Street is very likely going to be car to car to car to car, just like it was on Manseau Street. I also want to echo the safety issue, the number of cars that are going down these streets. I'd like the city to consider sidewalks. Lafountain does have a sidewalk. Manseau from Lafountain to East Allen does not. And I thought it was called Dion Street, but Dion, I'm sorry, I've only lived here for 7 years, but that does not have a continuous sidewalk from Lafountain to East Allen, where one of the bus lines is. So, I understand that we do need housing. I don't think that this is it. The folks, I'm also a registered architect and member of the AIA. I don't particularly think not having doors on Park Street is, a very welcoming thing. It's like you're hanging your ass out there for everyone to see, for lack of a better term. I think that sets the wrong example to this neighborhood. We're inward facing. We're different, right? I think I'll just stop there and say thank you. I do appreciate the effort that was put together for these plans and the development of them, and wherever it goes, I wish you all luck.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dave. We live at 28 Park Street. We own the house there. It's right on the corner of Park and Lafountain. I'm not against any of this being built. I just think there's nowhere near enough parking being put in there. we have 3 vehicles and a driveway barely big enough for one, and I don't want to come home from work and have to fight to try to find a place to park my work van. I'll never be able to get my camper in and out of my driveway if the street's just clogged with cars, and that's my concern as a resident living right there. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm Kate Kappelman-Sins. I am a resident of Winooski. I live on West Spring Street. I'm also a board member of Champlain Housing Trust, so I do have some interest in this. And I'm also a client of Champlain Housing Trust, so I own a shared equity home, a perpetually affordable home, and that has allowed me and my family to live here in Winooski for 14 years, and it's been an amazing experience. I'm also a social worker in the community and have been for over 20 years. I cannot understate the crisis of housing that we're having. It's never been seen before. If you're walking or biking or driving to work, you're seeing folks coming out of the woods. That's where they're living. We have no time to really debate about whether we need this or not. We also have large families in our community that are packed into 2-bedroom homes, and it's really inadequate and unfair and not right to be putting people in those positions. So I hope that people will take a look. VT Digger had a good article today talking about the funding that's kind of contributing to some of these projects that's going to go away pretty soon. Some of it came from COVID funds. So this is an opportunity, and I hope that people can think about it as an opportunity that we have to have a beautiful new structure, affordable, in our community. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Michelle O'Donnell. I live up on North Street, so I know this isn't exactly my neighborhood, but I think that no matter what neighborhood you propose new housing in, people are gonna have their feelings about it, but I think that we need more affordable housing, and that these, I think just having worked at the Winooski schools and in some housing nonprofit jobs in the past, the need for these bigger unit dwellings is really intense. And I think a question I would have for you all to pose to CHT is there going to be prioritization for families in Winooski currently that are overcrowded or in like substandard housing, so that they can get into these nicer units and still stay within the school district? So that would be a question, but I think that, yeah, we need affordable housing. I wish instead of thinking about parking spots, we would think about all the families' lives that could be changed by this. And I think it's, yeah, I think I'm on board with the proposal, and I wish, yeah, I hope that, I think there's lots of people in Winooski that are in favor of things like this, and that the people are upset maybe show up more. But yeah, there's definitely lots of people in Winooski that want projects like this to be built. So thank you all for considering it.
Thank you.
Michelle Wheeler, I live on Dion Street. I would be directly facing this. I live directly across the street from the park. Most of the questions and concerns I have are pretty much directly related to the density of this project. I guess when I heard about it first, that we were going to have affordable housing, I was expecting something a little more looking like Molly's Way did. And I know that that's not necessarily an affordable housing, but it's a nice PUD within a neighborhood that put in, I don't know what they are, three-bedroom units or 4-bedroom units. But I guess I was sort of seeing this more like 3 or 4-bedroom duplexes that look like houses. In this neighborhood alone, this is as you know, whatever you call it, residential A neighborhood, the least amount of density, okay? That development is still in residential A. The minimum lot size there is 7,500 square feet. They're proposing lot sizes that are less than even the residential B neighborhood, which is to the left of that. We have 90 single-family homes on this side of the highway alone. There's no way that this looks in any way, shape, or form like anything else in this neighborhood. Whereas some nice duplex homes that would be for sale in perpetuity for low-income families would feel more like that. Not this, I counted up, there's 96 bedrooms in this. And if you're thinking that we need homes for multi-generational families, all my issues are about this density. 96 bedrooms, that's a lot of cars. You're not gonna tell me that there's only gonna be 24 cars here. So we have the parking issues. Where are they gonna park? Where are their visitors gonna park? There is no parking. Are they parking all around the park? What happens in the winter? What happens with the snow plowing? We all need to get out. You can't park on the street in the winter, right? So there's that. Maybe this should have had underground parking so that there could have been more green space and people could have parked there without impacting the neighborhood. I also remember from previous meetings that they're taking away parking on Lafountain Street, which for me was great because my husband and I bike a lot, but if you're taking away all the parking on Lafountain from, Franklin to Dion, that's an issue. Also, if there's 96 bedrooms, there's gonna be a lot of children. And a lot of children, to me, says a lot of kids walking. And where are they gonna walk? They're gonna either walk to school or they're gonna be walking to the Maple Fields. If any of you you looked at the traffic pattern for this thing, they have to come out Park Street. They have to make a left onto Lafountain, then they're gonna have to go onto Dion. They're gonna have to sit at the light on Dion and East Allen. I already spend 5 minutes every morning at that light, trying to make a left turn to get on the highway. It's not safe. It's not gonna be safe for children to cross there. And this is supposed to be for families and children. This is not pedestrian friendly with that amount of people with the problems we already have on Lafountain. I don't know if any of you were around 3 weeks ago when there was that horrible motorcycle accident on the corner of Lafountain and Dion. Motorcycle and a car. They sped through the stop sign, probably going 60 miles an hour. My husband and I were coming home and we were there. We saw that. You already haven't addressed the traffic problems. We've come to so many meetings about putting speed bumps on Lafountain, putting the things that slow traffic down. That hasn't happened yet, and you're gonna be adding all this much more. I also wanted to make sure that whatever goes in here actually benefits Winooski families, because we can't solve the housing crisis for every town. Like, is there going to be something in whatever the criteria is for getting these homes that they will be going with first priority to families that are already here in Winooski? That's what I would care about. I guess I'd probably, people have already said everything. They've talked about the sidewalks. And I did like the comment that the inverse should be made. These should be helping people to own homes, not just to keep renting. That would be a project that would actually benefit people instead of continuing to create generational poverty. Having people actually own their homes is what helps people lift people out. But putting them in high-density apartments is not really gonna answer that problem for them at all. So I have a lot to say. I probably have a lot more to say, but I'm gonna give somebody else a chance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Paul Frenette. I live around the corner from Dion on Bellevue. I mentioned it at the city council meeting that I came to, where we were told when I left the meeting that there would be 24 units on the property. And then recently I read something on Front Porch Forum where there was a phase 2 and there's additional units. The other issue that's been mentioned multiple times is parking. I have a brother who lives on Corrine Street, and he deals with a problem of rental units on Dion Street where people park in front of his home, his driveway, and whenever he says anything to the city, he's laughed at. Been there for Well, he's 85, so you figure it out. Been there for a long time. The other issue is the rental unit. If there are this many rental units, who's going to be responsible for the maintenance of these units? And if somebody has a question or an issue with something going on there, who are people going to call? And I also feel that this is way too high of density for the area. My wife and I bought our home. We've lived in Winooski our whole lives, but we moved to the end of Bellevue by Dion, primarily because it was a single-family residential area. And this project's not that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Como. I'm a resident over on North Street, the vice chair of the Housing Commission. And I should disclose that in the daytime, I work for Champlain Housing Trust, although not in a development role. I'm not really familiar with this project beyond what I know as a resident, and that's how I'm speaking tonight. I want to say that I've been on the Housing Commission for a few years now, and the thing that we consistently come back to is the dire need that our community has for this type of affordable, family-sized housing. We have numerous examples in this community of large families that are forced to cram themselves into small apartments in a way that is unlivable for those families and is unsafe for everyone in those apartments. We spend a lot of time banging our heads onto these desks, figuring out how we can just get a few more projects like this. The reality is we live in a small community. There's only 1.5 square miles, I believe, in all of Winooski. And there are only so many places where we can make a project like this happen that can actually address the issue and make a meaningful impact. I understand when there is added scale. I understand that this is an adjustment for the neighbors around this development. It is something that it's not everyone bought into this neighborhood expecting this type of project. But I know that the density in this project is only there because to address a dire challenge in this community. We talk a lot about being an opportunity city, about being a city where people can come and find and build their family and send their kids to school. We need this type of housing if we actually want to continue to be a city that creates opportunities for people. Because we see time and time again that the new developments we have in Winooski are great, but they're typically one bedrooms, they're typically studios, they're typically targeted toward young professionals. We need affordable housing for families, and I really hope we can move forward with this project in Winooski because I think it'll make a lot of difference. So, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Ruth Steinmetz. I am a resident of Winooski, and I also work for the city in the interest of new American families living in Winooski. I really support this project because, as others have said, it meets the dire need for families to be able to stay in this city. And as much as we would like more opportunities for home ownership, there are many circumstances that do not allow families to be able to own homes at this moment. And so to be able to have a rental unit that is the adequate size is something that I cannot overstate. It's a dire need in Chittenden County, in this city, that is not being met. There's a lot of 1 and 2 bedroom homes that these families are cramped in. And so to be able to offer that option, which again, offering options is a really wonderful way for opening up upward mobility, is to open up options for families to be able to rent comfortably, to be able to have a shared equity property that gives them the bridge they need should they want to go into the open market down the line. This property development will be giving those opportunities to these families where there was none. I also welcome my fellow residents to think outside of the box, because all these thoughts about, well, not in this space is for small or single-family units. This country was built with single-family homes that has precluded a lot of minoritized populations and has exacerbated this housing crisis that we're in right now. So if we're continuing to think about our neighborhoods looking and feeling the way that they have felt in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, then we are not offering solutions. We need to have a paradigm shift in the way we think, in the way we approach solving this problem, so that we can be good neighbors to all the families, and we can allow our schools to be populated well in their capacity, because a lot of families have moved out and are leaving the classrooms empty because they cannot afford or even have the opportunity to stay in the city of their choice. And a lot of new American families wholeheartedly want to stay in Winooski. They hands down say, Winooski is where I want to be. And so for the city to be able to offer that opportunity and that option is something that is in response to a very huge need. So I just encourage folks to think outside the box and to think about other solutions and about other ways to look at their neighborhoods that is more inclusive and welcoming and takes us as a community to a better place that is beyond even our imaginations right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to check with a technical question, can everyone hear everyone when they're speaking?
It's a little better.
Okay, all right.
It's gotta be bad back there.
I will say, if folks could, the mics on, or goosenecks, they can move, if you can get as close to the mic as possible. If I know there's some accessibility things, if you need assistance with this, but that'll assist the room and the rooms.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello. My name is Tay Olson. I live on Lafountain Street, up underneath the highway, kind of at the very end past Gilbrook Road. So this is a little further, but it's within my neighborhood. Thank you for your wonderful statements before. You said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I don't speak well in public. I have a daughter in the Winooski school. She's lost friends, or friends have moved out of town for lack of housing, lack of affordable housing for them and their larger families. I'm in support of this project. I do, understand some of the concerns around parking and traffic, and lack of sidewalks is definitely an issue. And I know, someone else referred to some other projects I know were underway or in review for helping combat those issues. So I think those would be helpful in this situation. But cities grow and cities change, and I just want to let folks know I'm in support.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Mace, and I live on Whitney Street, which is just around the corner from this project. I serve on the Winooski Housing Authority Board. I serve on the Winooski School Board, and I also represent the City of Winooski on the Champlain Housing Trust Board. And there's a real intersection, I think, between education and housing that I have dedicated a fair amount of time to, along with many others in this city who, as others have stated very well, we are facing a crisis of lack of affordable family housing. This community has long served as a welcoming place for immigrants, and part of that was due to our affordable housing stock. At the Winooski School District, we proposed, 8 years ago, a school reconstruction project that envisioned a growth in our student population because of refugee resettlement and a pretty healthy stock of affordable family housing. And the pandemic changed that dynamic significantly in terms of many landlords deciding to renovate their properties and charge more in rents, displacing families. There was a pretty high-profile situation on Main Street with the Bove property that resulted in the displacement of a significant number of Winooski families. And Mayor Lott had put together a group of folks to try to talk about that situation and alternative locations in the city to develop affordable family housing to respond concretely to the displacement that we knew was happening. And so there aren't a lot of large properties in the city. We are a dense urban environment. And so when the Armory property became available, I was among many champions of converting that piece of land into this project or projects similar to it to provide pathways to home ownership, but also apartments that are large enough to house families. So much of the development that's happened has been, as others have said, one-bedroom studio apartments. That's great. That also meets a need. But the economics of building family housing are very, very difficult. And so in the absence of a strong partner like CHT who can leverage the available federal tax credits, et cetera, these kinds of projects just don't happen. And so I just want to comment a little bit about the neighborhood. So I live on Whitney Street. Yes, there are some of us in single-family homes. There's a mobile home on the street. There's homes that have been converted to apartments. It's sort of a mishmash, like much of Winooski. And it's actually, I think, part of Winooski's charm is that we have neighborhoods that have a lot of character, and I have absolutely no trouble with something that looks a little different than what we see now, because it meets a significant need in this community. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hi, my name's B. McCollum, and I live almost directly across from the Armory. And I've lived there for quite a while. And you know, when they did some development there, especially on Manseau Street, all those houses went up all the way to the back. Now my problem is 3 stories in that neighborhood, that doesn't seem right. I mean, I'm gonna be, when I sit on my deck, that's all I'm gonna see in my yard. I'm only gonna see that. And it's a good thing that somebody, a long time ago, put that plot of land, which is Richards Park there, so there'd always be a green space there. I wouldn't mind having houses, even those little duplexes all the way around, but I don't want to see anything that high. And I know how the traffic flows down there, and on Park Street right there, a lot of people take their kids out for a bike ride and everything else because there's not really a lot of traffic. And then people who use the park, there's people over there that park around the park because they're doing some kind of activity there. So what you're saying is, and I just heard somebody say, on one side of Lafountain Street, they're gonna take away the parking. Well, on my side of the street, you can't park anyways. And they talk about the traffic going out on Diane Street. The traffic on Manseau Street is worse. And people are gonna be going that way because they're gonna be headed into Burlington. And the only reason they're not gonna take Diane Street is because when they put up those 2 big buildings right there, they took out the left-hand turn. And that left-hand turn was the easiest way to go through there. I mean, I believe that there should be housing and that people need a place to live. But, you know, I've lived in Winooski all my life. My parents taught me that, hey, you gotta vote for the school board, you wanna keep the city going. But by doing that, my taxes go up. I'm retired, okay? And I don't get that little homestead thing right there. So, you know, is anybody willing to buy my house because I'm living right there and I don't wanna be there anymore? Are you gonna offer things up like that? And I have a nice little corner lot. You could stick up 3 floor building right there and put a little parking in the back, you know, that's what it seems like. It seems like, you know, people are saying Winooski needs more. I agree, Winooski needs more. But the residents in that neighborhood need a little bit more too, because if you ever notice in Winooski, when I don't think all the people are moving out because their houses aren't big enough. I think they're moving out because the prices to live in the city are so high. So even by putting those in, how are, you know, unless they're really low income places, how are people gonna afford them? When the hourly wage for a lot of these places, if people are working, you know, you're working 2 jobs, or you're lucky enough to get $24 an hour, but that's still not enough if your apartment's gonna cost $2,000 and you have to pay the electricity and everything else. So yeah, if these are going up, which they're gonna be, they're just gonna, you know, and I have no control over it, but I tell you, I don't think that's the right place. That is the wrong place to have something like that. I mean, I look on Franklin Street where they just put a building in sideways, and it's 2 stories, and you see where the garages go, and you can't even, I don't even know how they expect people to really get into their parking space, because there's just barely enough. And I see another one going up on Bellevue similar to it. It's almost like wherever there's land, people are putting stuff up. And the thing is now, instead of having like 2-story houses or a 1-story house, and yeah, you might see over your neighbor, but now somebody's going to be looking directly into your house. You don't have the distance between the places. I might as well just go move back into my trailer park. I had more spaces in between and less problems.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. So my name is Mona Tolba, and I am just
Hold the microphone a little closer.
Yeah, my name is Mona Tolba, and I am community advocate. I just work with a lot of families from the refugee communities, and some of them are, you know, like very big families. I know a family of 14 people living in a 3-bedroom. You know, they're just like sleeping above each other. You know, so we are thinking about parking spot to park our car. So where is this souls and human are going to live? So please give a chance for these people to have, you know, a suitable housing for them. You know, we all human, and we need to be, you know, like caring about each other. And this family, we need people in Winooski. People are leaving the city because there is no any space to live. So please consider this project for the benefit of these people, that they're gonna grow the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Richard Wheeler. I live on across the street from on Diane Street, 85. To me, it's a problem of scale, I guess, more than anything. Nobody's answered the question about how does this affect Winooski, like the infrastructure. For 150, say there's 150 people that live in that little plot there. What happens when 32 toilets flush at 7 a.m.? What happens under Lafountain Street? Was that built in whenever those lines were laid in? I think Winooski doesn't know what they're getting into, because once you did that, you're gonna have to blow out the infrastructure, never mind the streets and all the traffic issues and cars going all the way around the park because there's no place to go. And then the snow emergency happens. What then? There's so many headaches that we cannot accommodate in Winooski. I think it's commendable they want to do something about this crisis, but at the very least, the scale of this is at least twice too big. It's a bad design. And we need to look at this critically and say, does this work? Because it seems like it really doesn't work on its face. I'd say that's crazy. And that's just my opinion on that, but it's nuts. This just doesn't work. I don't think it works. I just don't see how you could possibly imagine that this would work out well for Winooski. We're just this little tiny town. What about the other 680 square miles of this county? Where are they? Shouldn't they be contributing to this, to solving this problem? We have small town and very few resources to deal with this problem. Why are we the ones that have to get? Because I guess, but it is commendable. It's very commendable that they want to fix this problem, and I think they should, but the scale is all wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Abby Blything, resident on Russell Street, and I will echo the need for family-sized housing in our community. And I have children in the school, and there's certainly lots of room for more children. And definitely, it's hard to lose families. I will comment, like, I'm not sure if it's possible to prioritize Winooski families or families in general, but that would certainly be of interest. I know, like, the Butternut Grove development and the Habitat for Humanity house that went up were both family-sized affordable homes that mostly got filled with single people. So if there's any way to make sure families are occupying these and giving preferential treatment to Winooski families, I think that would be really important. And I would also urge the developer to face these buildings towards the street so that they're fabric part of the community and they're not, the butts aren't facing people and their utility boxes and everything else. I think that they should be facing Lafountain and Park Street, and that design, you know, is important, and making this feel like part of the community and welcoming to the neighbors is really important as well. I think that this is obviously going to have a big transportation impact, traffic impact on the community, and so I would urge the city to put the scoping study that was done on Lafountain in action, so that there is things in place to help slow traffic in this area and move people through on things other than just vehicles, especially with kids. Adding even a green strip on the proposed sidewalk between Park Street and the sidewalk, you know, is just good practice to help create a more inviting neighborhood and a safer place for kids and people to walk. And then I will also echo, I think that we lack opportunities for home ownership, especially opportunities for low-income folks to be able to afford homes, you know, in Winooski and statewide. So any opportunities that we can, I think the duplexes are great, but if we could provide a condo in maybe one of these buildings as well to provide home ownership opportunities, that would definitely meet a need that is underserved. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Eli Ogilvie. I'm a Winooski resident. I want to start off with saying I don't love this project. For example, I'd love these buildings to be pointing more towards the streets, maybe activate the street a little more. That being said, I'm not going to stand in the way of this project. The housing is very much needed in this community and all across Chin County. And if it doesn't get built here, it's just going to get built in the rural parts of Vermont, and the traffic problem is just going to be pushed onto the interstates and the off-ramps and all the other parts of this community. So the solution here is density, and people aren't going to love it. Change is going to happen. So I'll leave it there. I just want to say some few statistics about the community. Healthy market for vacancy rate is 5%. Currently, of the last 3 years, it's been 1.5% in Chittenden County. In June of 2024, it was 1.2%. And there are currently 350 homeless people in Burlington. What concerns me is that our community worries more about the housing cars than housing people. We need to address housing first and foremost. Thank you for listening to me. Have a great night.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public before?
I'm gonna come back for round two.
All right, one more. Remember, there are a lot of people here today.
If somebody else wants a turn, that's great. Again, it's all about the scope of this project, whether you put in condos or duplexes or triplexes or whatever. Orienting everything to be looking like a neighborhood is important, and 30 units is what the problem is. And I think most people's issues just has to do with the density of that. Again, if this was 12 units, we can't solve everything in one project, and I don't think that that's on Winooski to do. Somebody also made a very salient point. Is there any guarantee that these will always be for families? Because if you have a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom unit and the only criteria is falling within an income guideline, you could have 4 college students living in there who aren't earning any money. And you know what? Everybody doesn't want to talk about cars, but maybe those 4 college students are going to have 4 cars, and there's not going to be any place to put them. I don't really care. I'm not concerned about housing cars. I think people are missing the point. I'm concerned about the people that are there are going to have cars, and where are they going to go in this neighborhood? And that does create havoc. You can't tell people who live there not to have cars. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. They're going to have them. And if these units, which are supposed to be helping multi-generational families get rented out to singles, there are already plenty of apartments that are studios and 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms. So what is our guarantee that they actually will stay for families? Because that is what's needed. And with that said, if this is in that, I don't know the name for it, but there's like an economic opportunity something or other. What about the tax implications? Are the taxes being paid on this to our city? Because all of the extra infrastructure cost is just going to go on to our other residents. So I would like to make sure that whoever actually owns this is going to be actually taxed at the same rates that I'm being taxed living across the street. Because you're going to add a lot of children, or maybe you're just relocating children, I don't know, that's fine, but you're also adding a lot of other infrastructure cost. And from my understanding, when it's like the 5.14 thing, they're getting all the tax breaks, and they're not paying property taxes to the extent that we are. I would like somebody to clarify that. I didn't have enough time today to do the finished research on that, but I would like to have that question answered.
Thank you very much. Okay, I would like, oh, yes. Welcome.
I would just like to clarify the last woman's question and be more direct. Are these units that are going to be owned, are they going to be under housing covenants, or are they going to be sold at market value?
Address your questions towards the board. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know if they were.
That's okay. Perfect. We'll get to the bottom of your question. And please introduce yourself.
I'm Jay Lambert, and just on another side note, I live 2 houses down from the 3-story unit that it just went in on Franklin Street. And guys, it's a monstrosity. It's far, far, far too big for the neighborhood. You know, I support this, and I support extra people coming in. You know, the school needs it. We've sunk $58 million into the school. I get all of that. But again, you know, to echo everybody else, I think it's too much for the size of the property. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think at this point, I'd like to invite the applicants back up, and we'll have some follow-up questions for you guys.
Can I ask one question? Are any of those units handicapped?
Good question for the applicant. Come on up. So I think overwhelmingly, we hear that people are supportive of more housing in the city. I think one of the overarching themes here was massing. How can we say that this fits the character of the neighborhood?
Would you like me to answer that
Sure.
first or some of the other questions?
Either
Okay.
or.
Sure.
Yep.
So we are working to address what we were told are the priorities here. We think it's an important and agree with the city's priorities to have both rental and home ownership units. The zoning actually allows for a density of up to 48 units, and we proposed less than that in trying to be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. 3 stories, again, it could have been up to 4 stories, and we chose to plan building designs that were 3 stories, again, trying to be respectful of the neighborhood. And we do feel like though change, it is change, it fits in with the character of the neighborhood. I wanted to respond to some of the direct questions about affordability and other things, unless you'd like to talk more about that?
Yep, sure.
Sure. So these will be, both the rental apartments and the homeownership shared equity units will be perpetually affordable. They both, the way that we finance building these projects is using public funds. And so then housing subsidy covenants are recorded in the land records that restrict them to income eligibility and restricted rents for the apartments. So generally affordable housing is defined as not spending more than 30% of one's income for rent. And these, when using public funds to build affordable housing, that's guaranteed by putting a covenant in the land records. What we are planning and starting to request of funders is in the rental apartments. We've planned this neighborhood of 24 rental units. Really, we generally, in terms of being able to maintain and to manage, to property manage a community, a rental community, there's really a minimum size of what's feasible, and that's usually around 20 rental apartments. We've just finished, and there were some questions about, what some of the other Chittenden County towns are able to support. We've just finished in May a 65 rental apartment development in Colchester. Next month we're celebrating, or actually next week we're celebrating, but the rental apartments will be done in October. 68 rental apartments in Shelburne in a new neighborhood that will be 94 homes because it's 68 rental apartments and 26 shared equity homes. So there are often opportunities for more units, and this being a 1.5 acre site, and with the zoning restrictions on the number of units per building, we felt that these 24 rental apartments and 6 shared equity homes were appropriate. There was also a question about the ratio of rental apartments to homeownership units. Like I said, really it's hard to do less than 20 rental apartments and be able to manage the property efficiently and cost effectively. So if we were to think about fewer rental units, it probably wouldn't work as a rental project at all. And we feel it's really important to have a housing continuum. Yes, homeownership is a way to build wealth, and we think of the housing continuum as it's important to have rental apartments for people who are not yet able to own homes. And often, some of our residents who live in rental apartments are able then to move on to shared equity homes, where those permanently affordable homes for sale, the sale price is lowered. Those in Shelburne that I just mentioned are brand new 3-bedroom condos, and the sale price will be less than $188,000 each. And then that can really be a launching point into the open market as well. Trying to think of some of the other questions. One was, could we prioritize Winooski residents? We certainly, Shelburne's a good example of the Bay Ridge neighborhood I just mentioned. It's difficult with some of the restrictions that we use for funding to have a preference for Winooski residents, and we were not able to do that in Shelburne. But what we were able to do was to advance market the apartments and the condos when they were going to be available. So first reach out in the local newspaper, to the city, to the school, et cetera, to local businesses, so that they become aware of these homes being available first and can be the first to apply.
College kids.
Yes, the funding that
I think I know where your answer is going. But
sure.
yeah.
The public funds that are used to build this type of affordable housing is very restrictive. Income verifies each household before they're leased, and students are not eligible for this type of housing. And it's also quite restrictive about the number of persons per bedroom. So it's quite, if we build 3 or 4 bedroom family units, they will have families of that size. There wouldn't be 1-person households living in a 3-bedroom unit. They wouldn't qualify.
So I think what I'm hearing is there's a lengthy application and vetting process that happens before people can move into these
That's right.
income-controlled apartments.
Yep.
There was another question about who's going to maintain them, who's going to be responsible for them.
Sure. Yeah, the rental apartments, Champlain Housing Trust does our property maintenance. We have a property management division that manages all of our properties, and we would assign a property manager. We've included in the design an office on site, so there would be on-site property manager, and CHD maintenance would be responsible for maintaining the project as well. And then the homes for sale would be maintained by the homeowner.
The layout of the general site layout, I think part of what I was picking up was the people on Manseau Street. Those 3-story units are very close to their backyard, and there was no fence proposed. Did you look at alternative layout of the building? And I guess also related to the layout of the building is it seems like there were multiple comments about having the units outward facing towards the street, activating the street. I know this isn't our form-based code area, but that's something we push really hard for our gateway corridors is put the people out on the street. We want people sitting out on their front porches and watching the kids ride their bikes by, and maybe this feels inward facing.
Absolutely. This is sketch plan review. We certainly do intend to, it's just not on the plan yet, have a fence along the property boundary towards Manseau Street. And I think that's a great suggestion to have the buildings fronting Park Street, face Park Street.
I've asked a lot of questions. I'm going to let the other members of the board take a turn if they so wish.
How does resale work for the properties that are owned?
The shared equity program, basically the for sale price is subsidized by the funds that we're able to the public funds we're able to incorporate. And then it's called a shared equity home because the appreciation of that home is shared between the trust, the land trust, and the homeowner, such that when a homeowner might be interested in selling, that sale goes through the Champlain Housing Trust, and a portion of the appreciation stays with the home for the next buyer so that the sale price is lowered, and a portion of the appreciation goes with the homeowner. And then any improvements that the homeowner's made to the home are allocated to the homeowner as well in that sale price.
And the sale's vetted by the housing trust.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
What about taxes? There's a question about taxes.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Both our rental communities and certainly the homeowners also would be on the grand list to pay taxes. There's a state formula for the rental apartments that helps with the calculation of assessed value of the rental apartments based on the restricted rents.
So lower taxes.
Lower in the rental apartments, but still, yeah, pay significant taxes. Yeah.
There was some concern that people heard this was 24 units at a city council meeting, and now you're coming here with 30. Did you only present the first phase there, or?
I'm not sure where and I'm sorry for any miscommunication there. I had thought that it was clear, certainly if people walked away thinking there were 24 units, it must have been in thinking about phase 1, because we have from the start, and in our RFP proposal to the city, proposed 24 rental units and 6 shared equity homes. But those homes would be in a later development.
Have there been any initial discussion with Public Works about wastewater, fire access, traffic, snow?
Greg,
That's a lot of. I just threw out a lot of topics there. Sorry.
Yeah, as discussed, I mean, we're in sketch plan, and we really wanted to kind of hear some of the feedback from both the board and the public in order to massage this project and actually do the nitty-gritty of the design. All the buildings will be connected to municipal water, municipal sewer, and the project itself will actually meet the threshold for a state stormwater permit. So the project will contain and sort of maintain their stormwater on site as much as possible before connecting into the city system, which I do believe it will be good for this area. We have not done the full calculations for water and sewer, so I haven't given that stuff to city staff. That would be at the next step, and when we would reach out to Public Works as well to see what is the existing infrastructure within this area. I do know that there's some significant infrastructure on Lafountain Street, but it's in the process that we will work with the city to determine what is needed.
Harlan, I'll add that I've shared these plans with Public Works, Code Enforcement, and with Community Services, along with the schools. So a more rigorous review is going to happen when we receive more detailed plans for us to discuss. The schools at this point haven't said any concerns yet about this design, but again, I expect to see a more rigorous review when we have more precise plans, and to share that with you.
Do you have kind of like a preliminary idea about the stormwater and where it's going to go?
Yes.
And snow removal for that same kind of related?
Yeah, so we have taken a preliminary review, and we're actually hoping to put the majority of the stormwater underground and underground tanks in between the buildings. That is the hope. So if you kind of pan up in between the 4 larger buildings, there is some substantial space that we're kind of looking to utilize that. The hope is to have it, as much of it be underground as possible. I do think, I do a lot of work in this area, and I think there's some depth to that groundwater and depth of sand that we can utilize, and so that is the hope. Same goes with snow removal. I think there's opportunities both in the kind of back front yards of the houses along Lafountain Street, as well as in between the buildings and all the way to the north, locations for significant snow storage in and around all the buildings.
Talk about the preliminary traffic investigations you've done.
Again, we haven't done the calculations to this point. I think the calculations that were on the notes by city staff were performed by city staff. So we plan to look into that further, and definitely heard that concern from the public.
What are your thoughts on parking? There was a few comments about parking, and with 120 plus bedrooms, but only 30-something spaces, like what do you anticipate for vehicles? What have you seen in other properties?
Sure, they're actually 96 bedrooms.
I thought there was 32 bedrooms in each of the 6-unit.
With slight reduction because instead of 4-bedroom units in 2 of the buildings, there'll be an office and a bike room. So it just shaves off some of them.
Still, 100.
Yeah, around 100. So we certainly expect for the apartments, 1 car per family. These are large families with lots of kids, so most of those bedrooms, we don't expect to have drivers. It could be that they're 2-car households, and I think the proposal here for those 24 apartments is 36 parking spaces. So, 1.5 per apartment. We find in our portfolio of properties that in cities and in downtown areas close to bus routes, we have a lot of families that don't have cars at all. So it's hard to know until we know, who the occupants of this neighborhood would be. But we expect that there'll be some with cars and some without. It's walkable to 2 different bus lines and walkable to downtown.
Right, but if every unit has 2 cars, and if they're family units, and all of a sudden the kids are getting to driving age, and some of them end up with 3 cars, where do those extra cars go?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that would be a scenario that would be unlikely. I would imagine like most homes in the city, if they had 3 cars and didn't have spaces for them, they'd park on the street.
I think this project is coming, CHT operates a lot of similar projects like this. And so I think they have a wealth of knowledge on sort of what is needed for the type of apartments and type of housing that they offer. And the 1.5 cars per unit has been successful in the past. So I think that's sort of what we're looking at.
Can I ask a clarification question to the board?
Sure, why not?
She made a comment.
Could you speak into the
I'm
mic?
sorry, no, thank you. She made a comment that that area was zoned for 4 levels, 4 stories, and I was under the impression that it was zoned for 3, and that they could get a variance because it's public housing trust for a 4th floor, but it's actually technically just zoned for 3, is that correct?
I'm not sure. Without looking at the rules, I don't want to speak.
I think it was in that 74-page document that was sent out.
So it's a 35-foot height limit for this location, just like what it is with all residential districts, including the residential A zoning district. The bonus story is a state statute allowance that for affordable housing projects that do qualify under their definition, the project can qualify for an additional floor above
That's a
that.
waiver, correct?
That's not a waiver.
It said waiver in that 74-page document.
It's not a waiver.
All right, I'll read it. I'll go home and read it
Okay.
again.
From the board, any other questions for the applicants?
Maybe not a question, but I think, I look at this and I do question the scale of the project. You were saying that you feel this does fit with the neighborhood, and I look at the single-family houses and I don't see a single building that has 30 bedrooms in it. And so I do find that hard to believe that this does fit with the scale of the neighborhood. It's a lot of people in a small amount of space. These buildings are big, they're tall, they're on top of the neighbors. So I do have concerns with the proposed project as it is.
I think I also have concerns about the variances or exceptions. How do we phrase them with a PUD?
So with
Are they-
PUDs, there are design flexibility with the allowance that it's PUDs are by design supposed to be a give and take process, that with the additional buffers, the 10-foot setback, that there could be different lot sizes, different site layout, lot layout, multiple principal structures on a lot. So, so with this, they're opting for a more creative design with their subdivision, but they are held to a higher standard with the PUD review process and the additional buffers on the periphery.
Yeah, but are we allowed to grant variances on the buffers?
It wouldn't be a variance by a technical sense. It would be, the lot dimensions would be a waiver, yes.
Waiver.
There's a waiver request, right?
Yes.
Right, so I mean, that's a good point, is in the past, this board has kind of acted to bring properties or new developments, like, into conformance versus granting new projects out of conformance, right? So I think we've used those waivers to grant existing conditions for modifications to a property, but we have.
I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's feedback that we needed to hear. I do think we can, like I said, the main reason we were looking to have some of those waivers, where if you pan down, was just not to have a bunch of easements overlapping these properties, but the properties in the front can extend obviously into the parcel more. It was just more of a way to have more of a separation for those homeowners in front from the other property in the back. And so that's what we were trying to gauge the board's thoughts on, is where would you like that line? Does it make more sense where we're showing it now, kind of having the two separate phases? And yeah, those front lots would be a little bit smaller, or would you like to see them at 100-foot depth and meeting those regulations, but they would just have the shared driveway in the back?
Again, I think our precedent has been to stay away from waivers, right?
For newer developments, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we look to bring lots into conformance with the code.
Right, if there's an existing structure, then, give it a waiver.
Even with considering the fact that it is a planned unit development, considering this as a whole too, because this will always be a project.
Right.
In general.
Yeah, it's something also to keep in mind as well, considering this planned unit development and planned unit developments that you've reviewed in the past, is that it is a single entity, and any changes to any of the lots would require a change to the entire planned unit development.
Right.
It's a common plan of development after this point forward.
Yeah. I think, just to echo Aaron, I too, I don't know, I think we could be more creative with the massing and with the character of the neighborhood. And I don't know, again, you guys are the creative architects and engineers and project designers, but I too, the ones that really get me, I think, are the two big ones that back right on to Manseau. So again, if I were one of them, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I won't speculate.
I just want to make one comment. There's been a lot of talk about the density and number of bedrooms. There's actually 20 bedrooms per building. So there's 2 4-unit apartments on the first floor, so there's 8 total bedrooms. There's no bedrooms on the second floor. That's all living space. And then there's 12 bedrooms on the third floor in the four different units. So there's actually 20 total bedrooms, not 32. And I think when you asked me earlier what it was, I wasn't doing the math in my head, so I apologize for that.
I think, remind me of the process. Do you, for the next step, do you come with elevations, building elevations?
Yes, that would be a requirement, yes.
Yeah. I think people hear 3 stories and they picture this skyscraper, when there are houses in that neighborhood with 3rd story attics
Yep.
that have dormered windows, and those are 3-story buildings, right? Somebody nod from the neighborhood for me.
Mine's 2.5 stories.
Yeah.
It's not
2.5.
2.5, yes.
What's up on the third level?
It's an attic.
Do you crawl around in there?
Well, yeah, basically.
Yeah. So again, yes.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
We recognize the scale.
Yeah. Board. Yes. Sure. Come up to the microphone. Am I too loose here?
No, you're fine. Still doing okay.
Just in response to 1.5 cars was cited per unit based on their historical properties. I don't know how those properties compare to bedroom count, but I think a ratio of car to bedroom would be good to know what's normal for you guys.
If I could just clarify, 1.5 isn't from our portfolio experience. It's what we have planned for here. But I can bring portfolio data to the next meeting, yeah.
That sounds like that might be helpful.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? We have a whole nother hearing this evening.
Well, meeting, technically.
What?
Meeting, technically, because you're not making any decisions for this
Yes,
item or
right.
the next one.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep me honest. Any other questions from the board? No. Well, I want to thank everyone who came out from the public. Yes?
I had asked earlier, are there any provisions for handicapped people in that area?
Oh, good question.
Yes, sorry, absolutely. There'll be accessible units both in the apartments and in the homes. We're required by code to have a certain percentage of ADA accessible units.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone from the public, for coming out and providing your comments and testimony. Thank you to the applicants for providing clarification. And I guess, excuse me. Sit down for a second. Let's keep it moving. I guess the next step, Revi, remind me, next step is they come forward with a
Formal application.
Yes.
Yes. So they haven't submitted an application yet. This is a preliminary pre-application meeting for you to provide feedback to the applicants. When I do receive a formal application, you'll receive a notice from the city, similar to the one that you might have received if you are a neighboring property, about the date and time. For if the DRB is unable to make it for that meeting, just like you weren't able to for the previous meeting, I'll do my best to send out a follow-up corrected notice to all the adjoining property owners. So that's something, depending on the applicant's schedule, to keep on the lookout for.
Again, thank you very much. We're going to take a 2-minute recess for everyone to clear out of the room, and at 8:05 we are starting the next hearing.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sorry. Awesome. So, thank you everyone who stuck around. I would now like to open the hearing on... Meeting. Sorry, it says hearing. It says hearing.
Oh, on your
My
script.
cheat sheet's not cheating. I'm not cheating here.
Sorry.
Let me open the meeting for 41 Manseau Street. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Manseau.
Some people say Mansaw, some people say Manseau.
We'll welcome the applicant to the floor. Welcome. Or applicant's representative?
Representative, yes. My name is Jesse Carswell from Krebs and Lansing Engineers. And Gretchen Langfeld is the applicant. I'm not sure if she is on line or not. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me continue with just a brief summary.
She raised her hand, so.
Oh,
I can
okay,
allow
yeah.
her to
Let's
talk.
welcome her into the chat.
Allow her to talk.
Hi, Gretchen. Or maybe she's just raising her hand to say, hey, I'm here. She's unmuted, but we can't hear her. Oh, hold on one second. Oh, there, I think we just heard you. Hello?
I'm here.
Awesome. Welcome.
Sorry, Bluetooth earbuds are.
No
There
problem.
you go.
So it's pretty simple project. We're just proposing to subdivide a larger existing parcel into two, meeting the minimum lot size, and meeting the frontage requirements. And we are not proposing, this is just a proposal for a subdivision. We are not proposing any construction. The driveway and the house shown on the proposed lot two are just conceptual to show that something, it could be subdivided, something could be built on the lot which would meet the coverage requirements. It would be the existing house is served by municipal water and sewer. The future proposed house would be also served by municipal water and sewer, which are there right there on the street. It would have its own driveway, so its own curb cut. I believe the only requirement that we are asking for a waiver for is the 100-foot minimum lot depth, when our lot is 99 feet, but actually all of the lots on Manseau Street are less than 100 feet. So yes, so we're asking for a waiver from that requirement. I mean, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Aaron being our resident waiver expert, I feel like this is a case where we would start to consider that waiver, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, if all the lots are 99 feet and it's an existing, right?
Pre-existing condition, right? The existing lot is 99 feet.
Correct.
So the existing lot is out of conformance, and this would not put it further out of conformance.
Which of the site improvements for the second lot would be, are you putting in now, if any of them?
None.
None?
No.
So no curb cut, no sewer water lines
No.
at this point?
No, not
Just
at this
the
point.
subdivision?
Just the subdivision.
Correct.
Wait 1 minute.
Hold on.
Sorry. Procedure. I'll try and follow it. Other questions from the board? This one seems so clear cut considering what we just heard. So the one waiver request, Revy, remind me procedurally, is there a checklist or some sort of procedure we work through when we go through these subdivisions?
So, it's an interesting question. And I have to go look at my staff notes for that. So in terms of waivers, for the lot depth, I wasn't able to find any standard that would allow for that waiver to go through under 6.2 subsection E for the lot depth. But this is a very interesting situation in which all of the lots on that side of the street are all 99 feet. It's not only the subject property. And you wouldn't be creating any new nonconformities in this process, or you'd create a lot that wouldn't have the lot depth, but then again, you wouldn't, by doing so, create any new nonconformities in relationship to structures. The other waiver that I had in mind for your consideration was the waiver of preliminary plan, just because of the limited scope of this project and the fact that the plans that you are reviewing are very detailed and very clean, so.
So you're saying to potentially go right to the final?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is it not at the discretion of the board to grant the waiver?
In terms of the lot depth?
Yeah.
I couldn't find any language in terms of that. So, I mean, I can look again and try to parse the language a bit more, but in terms of the language on its face, I wasn't able to find any specific language like that.
What about the front yard and side yard setbacks for the existing? Am I reading that right? Do I have the right page?
Yeah, you're right.
But those are out of conformity as well?
Less than 5 feet.
Yes.
So
Yes.
those would need a separate waiver?
Well,
Because we're creating a new lot?
but you wouldn't be increasing the nonconformity of the structure since the existing structures are located on the northern portion of the lot. So this setback relationship isn't changing. And so only this setback, which is in conformance and will continue to be in conformance, is changing. So there wouldn't need to be any waivers per se. The non-conforming structure can exist as is, in perpetuity. If they do propose any changes, it would have to be in conformance with the regulations.
Should it?
Is it that?
It seems like it should have a waiver though, right? Like,
I feel like we've done this different ways.
Yeah, because in the past few have been PUDs. So you had been increasing the nonconformity technically for those types of projects. And so and you were allowed to grant waivers for non-conforming structures when it comes to PUDs and subdivisions. In this case, I'll double check, but I don't see the need for a waiver for the existing structures since the nonconformity isn't increasing.
I feel like we've granted waivers in the past though for existing buildings.
I think it's been for PUDs.
I think it is
though.
just for PUDs.
Only for PUDs?
Yeah,
That's what I
we've
can
done a lot of
remember.
PUDs.
Yeah.
This is just creating a whole new lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think being mindful that anything on the new lot would have to be in conformity, but
Right.
And I'm gonna double check section 4.7 while you discuss.
Any other questions from the board for the applicant?
I don't think so.
Okay, I think there's a question from the public.
No, not anymore. I thought I was in RA district, not RB, so I was concerned about minimum lot size, but it's good. That's all.
All right. Any other questions from the public?
Do we want to give direction about preliminary versus final site plan?
Yeah, so how do we decide that? You want to discuss whether we want to see a preliminary? Personally,
Actually, I should ask the question of Ravi, like, should we be discussing that now and giving direction, or can we discuss it after, and then you can give the direction?
Either. You have to provide a written letter anyways,
okay.
within 15 days of today.
Okay.
So in that written letter, you can specify whether the waiver for that should be granted or not.
Yeah, so we can consider that. Put it in the letter if we decide, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
any other questions from the board? Okay. I guess that's a sign that you did a very good job drawing this up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen, also.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, we'll move on to the next item, and that is recent and forthcoming updates to the Unified Land Use and Development Regulations.
I would say this is
Are
the
we
most...
doing it again? Are we updating them? Is it time?
I mean...
Feels like it was just 8 years ago.
I got a whole slideshow. I'm excited.
When was
Like an old man.
When was it?
I don't know. I feel like they're constantly doing it, aren't they?
When did we do the big update?
Well,
It
there was,
more than 6 years ago.
they added the
Was that
form-based
the same?
code stuff to this, but they haven't
Yeah.
they've made like piecemeal changes. It's never been like
Yeah, when was the
revised.
form-based code?
I think 8 years ago sounds about right.
I have a whole slideshow.
We're
I'm
gonna get a
excited.
history lesson, right?
Okay, cool.
best part. So, so there's been a lot of changes in the zoning regulations and with statute since February 2024. So there's been the establishment of the design review process for historic structures. We've had about 5 or 6 applications so far for design review with the local resource advisory board, mainly for roof replacements. So nothing major
For what,
yet.
roof replacements?
Roof replacements, yeah. So nothing major yet in that. There's been some minor adjustments to the Gateway District map, mainly for the O'Brien Center. So the changing of civic uses and some allowances and modifications in that. We've had, the 2 things that I'm going to highlight today are the amendments to align with passage of Act 47. So this is all the incentives for priority housing, the massive upzoning, the reduction in the parking requirements to a minimum of 1 space per dwelling unit, which is set in statute, along with a lot of other little things. It was massive. There's been some small changes to the regulations with the passage of Act 181. And then recently, we just passed transportation demand management requirements for properties on the corridor. So I'll go into a lot more detail with that. So under Act 47, duplexes must be allowed in all districts where single unit dwellings are allowed with same dimensional standards as single unit dwellings. In areas that are served by municipal water and sewer, so the entirety of the city, in districts that allow for residential development, buildings with up to 4 dwelling units must be allowed as a permitted use. Site plan review by the DRB is allowed for multi-unit dwellings with 3 or more dwelling units. So this is kind of like the weird, semantics of it. So on the use table, it'll say 4-unit dwellings are permitted, but site plan review still applies. So those types of projects will still come to you and be reviewed, even though on the use table it says it's permitted. Yeah, it's a strange quirk. And they have to be allowed on the same lot size as a single unit dwelling unless the district allows for multi-unit buildings with more than 4 dwelling units. So this rule doesn't apply for our C1 district because it allows for higher density and intensity, or the Gateway District. Maximum parking size space size is 9 by 18, except for ADA compliant spaces. And then, as mentioned, areas for the entire city, the maximum parking requirement is 1 space per dwelling.
So can you clarify number 2 again a little bit? So like in zones A and B, previously you were allowed a 2-unit
Yes.
house, and now you're allowed a quadplex.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the major character shifting upzoning that did occur with the changes. Was that in residential A, I think the highest was a duplex, I want to say, and that got shifted up to 4 units. And then I'll go into another slide with priority housing that allowed for configuration with 4-unit buildings if it was a priority housing project, and that got shifted up to 6, as you saw in the sketch plan for the Armory.
So the maximum that the regulation can require is one space per dwelling.
Yes. So we can't require 2 spaces per dwelling like you might have before, like a lot of other municipalities had before. The maximum that I can say is as a minimum parking requirement of 1 space per unit.
Throughout the city?
Throughout the city.
For all zoning districts?
Whether it's a 1-bedroom unit or a 4-bedroom unit.
That's correct.
How does the city feel about that?
It's a process. I mean, it's a process.
And throughout the state, this applies?
Throughout the state.
If there's municipal water?
Yes. So I've heard from my colleagues that there's been some consternation about this because they don't have transit, they don't have as much bike ped infrastructure as we do. So there's been some, they had been trying to put for more flexibility, but that didn't go through at the time. Let's see. So with the passage of Act 47, all this went into effect in August of 2024, clarified there's multiple primary structures allowances for specifically mainly for priority housing. That's so like the Armory, that is only allowed because of the changes that went into effect last August. So updated allowable residential uses to match statute. So like David mentioned, that upzoning in the residential A district to match statute. set different dimensional requirements for types of structures, so primary structures versus secondary structures, which hadn't been in place before. Remove minimum parking requirements for non-residential uses in the downtown district, establish bicycle parking requirements. It's very robust, the bicycle parking requirements, so.
It's way longer than the car section.
Yeah. I think Eric did a great job with that, so. Let's see, provided allowances for changes in use from non-residential to non-residential uses without DRB review and approval. So if you're looking if you have an office in like the C1 district and you change it to a store and that's permitted and you're not making any other site changes and and no parking changes, no nothing, that doesn't require DRB review and approval. That can just be approved by me or not even need my approval, really. That can just happen. And then reduce parking requirements to match current statutes, set allowances for accessory dwelling units for duplexes and triplexes. So before August 2024, this was under the cottage, detached cottage.
Right.
And so you had reviewed applications for detached cottages for multi-unit buildings, and now that's changed to an ADU for a duplex or a triplex. And then expanded the priority housing incentives, and then it clarified particular specific use standards for I want to say priority housing, but I think there's another section too. And it clarified many standards in the Gateway District regulations, a lot of small things. So with priority housing, before August of 2024, this was in place. And so at that point, if half the dwelling units in a project have 3 or more bedrooms, the projects in the residential A, residential B districts can configure buildings with up to 4 units per building, and then residential C district can configure buildings up to 6 units per building. Projects with affordable 3 plus bedroom units in the Gateway, Central Business, General Commercial District can get a parking reduction. And that's all that there was there before August 2024. So after August 2024 is when you see this expansion of all these allowances that you have been seeing for the past year or so with the PUD projects, with the affordable housing projects. So if half dwelling units in a project have 3 or more bedrooms, then those projects like the Armory can go up to 6 units per building, and those allowable lot coverage can go up to 65%. If all the dwelling units in a project are affordable and have 3 or more bedrooms, like the Armory specifically, those projects can go up to 6 units per building, go up to 75% lot coverage, and they can get bonus units on top of that. And those bonus units can be market rate if they choose to opt in.
Can be what?
Market rate. They don't have to be affordable.
Somewhere there's a 65% number. Did I misread that somewhere? 75 is the.
65 for 3
More than
or more bedrooms, right?
Yep.
You have to have 2
Yep.
units.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yep.
it's just right
Yep.
there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, spaced out.
So take, for example,
If half the dwelling units
Yeah.
Half or more.
have 3 or more bedrooms.
yeah, so if
65
you remember
of
the St.
all
Peter Street
75.
project from the spring, right? That was a duplex in the front, duplex in the back, and the duplex in the back, both of the units had 3 bedrooms in each of them. They could go up to 65% under the first bullet point. Under the second bullet point, so the second bullet point really applies to the Armory. That project can go up to 75% because they are doing all affordable units and are doing all 3 plus bedroom units.
What was their lot coverage?
The one at St. Peter?
No.
114 or Armory? They didn't specify yet. They'll have to provide that number with the formal application.
Yeah.
And what determines how many bonus units are allowed?
Oh, it's complex math. It depends on the zoning district. So I think that it's like if it's in the RA district, they can get half a market rate unit for every affordable unit. And then if it's in the RC district, they can get 1 unit, market rate unit per affordable unit. Yeah. At some point, David, the math doesn't really matter, right? Because it just matters on the capacity of the land and whether it can meet all the dimensional requirements, the parking requirements, and this lot coverage requirements, and then possibly like landscaping requirements if and when we do put more rigorous landscaping requirements in the zoning regulations and making sure that they meet all the other requirements and put in the dwelling units, so.
Just thinking about the Armory still, what did she say the maximum was they could put there?
So under zoning, under this, they could do 48. They could do 48 units, and then on top of that comes this whole other bonus calculation too.
Yeah.
So
Plus the fourth, so
I
that would
think-
be with the fourth stories, that would just be like,
if they really maxed it out.
yeah.
But the parking is the key piece of that, right? So if you still have to put in 200 square feet of impervious surface to meet the parking requirements, plus access and circulation mainly for fire, to
So-
adequately serve that building. So like I say with the Armory, because they are big enough and they are proposing something big enough, at some point, there's just a cutoff for them in terms of capacity.
So they were allowed 8 units based on eight buildings based on the lot size with 6 units in each one?
So yes, theoretically, yes. So
That's how you
6.
get to the 48.
Yes. So 6 units per building, 8 lots, 48 units.
8
Ba-
lots
at
based
a-
on the minimum
At a
lot
base,
size.
yeah, at a base, and then you can add on density bonus on top of that. Yep. So the projects, and so the parking waiver is still there in the corridors. Projects with at least 20% of units with a minimum of 5 affordable units or greater can get, whichever is greater, can get that bonus story. So this is the bonus story that Miranda was talking about. That this is set in statute, that if it meets the statutory requirement, which is 20% of units for a project with at least 5 affordable units, they can get that bonus story on top and supersede our zoning limits. So yeah, not a waiver. And then projects with up to 4 units, in which half the units are affordable units, and have 3 or more bedrooms and are offered for sale, they can just be reviewed by me, and they're allowed to develop at 75% lot coverage. And so the last point is what you see on Franklin Street. So that was a project with 3 units. All 3 units are 3 bedrooms. 2 of 3 units have to be offered for sale at 100% of the area median income, and they were only reviewed and approved by me. Yes.
Sorry, isn't it 120%?
So under the priority housing, it's set at 100%.
Okay.
So, yeah. So for regardless of whether it's for sale or for rent, the price has to be at 100% under priority housing.
Okay.
Yeah. This is going to change a bit when we talk about inclusionary zoning, but yeah. Yeah.
This is a side question, which
Sure.
I guess I should know. When something goes through administrative review, is your finding public? Is that posted? Can I go see? If I see a zoning permit up on a house, can I go see the?
Yeah. I can give that to you. You can see it. You can come to the office. We can talk through it. Yep. Yeah.
So you review it against the code? You review the
Yes.
application against the code?
Yes. Yep.
There was a number of complaints about that.
Yep.
How do you, maybe this isn't the time to ask this, but how do you review those applications against, like, does it fit with the context of the neighborhood?
I can't make those types of qualitative.
It's the number one,
Yeah.
it's the number one, like, intent of the section, though.
So there's that piece, right? It's like I can't make those qualitative decisions, and then on another piece too, with these density increases for 4 units per building, that can't even be a criteria in the review process, and so that had been set in statute before. Is that if these types of projects were under conditional use review, then that has to be removed from the conversation. And so that whole aspect has been sort of removed from the conversation for 4-unit buildings. If it's allowed by the zoning, then it's not something that is considered to determine whether it meets that qualitative character of the neighborhood.
That's in our zoning, though, right? Like, that's part of the zoning.
So, okay, I feel like you're not gonna like this answer, Aaron, what I'm gonna tell you. So, with any zoning amendments, any zoning regulations that go into place, I have to test it against our comprehensive plan, our master plan, right? We can only do in past zoning regulations that are specified in our comprehensive plan, specifically under our land use map and land use text. If it's not allowed in our comprehensive plan, then that zoning just, there's no nexus, and you can appeal that and put in a petition and get it passed and whatnot. So if we're looking at the character of the area, and if we're already doing this test on what is the character of the area currently and the character of the area in the future already in the master plan, and making a positive determination on that when the zoning gets passed, then we're already agreeing that it meets the character of the area.
What?
Because the zoning is planning for it to change in that direction.
Exactly.
It seems like a rewrite of, I'm not sure where is the character of the neighborhood in the, where are we talking about that? That's in the,
Well, it's number one under site plan review.
site plan
right?
review.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a clarifying sentence or two by the planning board, like, this is not, explaining this, like, density is not a reason to reject this as out of line with the character of the neighborhood because zoning allows. I mean, you can see why people would be hanging their hat on that sentence, right? And then being upset when it's not allowed to be used in their argument.
Yeah. However, at the planning commission level, we are really thinking about this because certain planning commission members are pretty offended by the facade of those of the Franklin Street projects.
Yeah.
So
I can see that, right?
yeah. So we've talked about blank wall limitations, and so in order to reduce the amount of blank wall that faces any street-facing facade, or public open space. For next planning commission meeting, we're going to talk about building orientation and entrance requirements for street-facing facades. More about landscaping requirements and have that more robust in our zoning regulations to specify the landscaping that is needed for all types of projects, regardless of scale. So with this zoning, understanding some of the frustrations, we're trying to address it through mitigation of some sort. So that way, these types of projects can fit with the current character of the neighborhood more.
Does anybody, the public, come to the planning meetings? How can we explain to people who come here angry with us that they need to come learn and talk about the rules at that meeting before we're just interpreting the rules?
Yeah.
Like, can I go to city council maybe and say that? But
I mean, sure.
If you have any ideas, like.
I mean, I think you just have to explain that to people here that come and, like, I don't like that rule. It's like, well, we don't make the rules, we just interpret them, right?
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah.
And that's all.
Maybe
that's
we
all
can
it is.
modify our introduction here to add a sentence about how we relate to the.
By the way,
planning
we did make
commission.
these rules.
Just quick side note, we're quasi-judicial, they're quasi-legislative.
Every 5 minutes, just reiterate it.
It's just good feedback to give as people come up and they say, well, what can you do about sidewalks? We can say nothing, but you can go to this body to talk about it. I think like in the moment, telling people when they have direct concerns that we can hear that, but we can't do anything about it.
You're always welcome to pass the buck and point the finger at me and be like, talk to that guy, and then walk away. That's totally fine by me.
I mean, do we have the ability to, like, take the Armory development, for example? I think they're proposing a sidewalk along Park Street, but
It looked like it.
it looked like it,
It
but
looked
if
like
they
a dead
weren't,
space.
like, could we make that a condition that you have to install a sidewalk?
Yeah, so I know the checklist is really heavy and it's very comprehensive. The idea was for you to see all the checks that they have to go through. And I also, with this checklist, tried to put in a column for you to put in any comments, so that way we can sort of collect written comments on that. And for the benefit of the applicants, that way they can go through that checklist and check if they meet all the requirements as they're putting together a formal application. So in that checklist, there is site circulation and access for all users, so vehicles and bicyclists and pedestrians. And so to ensure that you can ask for improvements to access and circulation, especially considering the size and scale of that development.
Associated with the development itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think it's just when people start talking about a street over not having the,
Diamond
like,
Street.
the project
Mhm.
has no purview
Yeah.
over that.
Yep.
Right.
Are these incentives, the ones that were mandated by the state? what's the scope of those as far as like, it's like downtown centers or all across the state, or what's the?
All across the state. So the only one mandated by the state is that fourth bullet point, with the bonus story.
Okay.
The bonus story rule has been in place, I want to say for a few years now. It's been in place for a while, and it applies for all projects regardless of if it's connected to municipal water and sewer.
The rest is?
The rest is all us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that last one is the city of Winooski?
Yep. Yep.
And this is the one that people are, that's Franklin Street.
That's Franklin Street.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that was.
I still haven't, someone sent me a picture of it, but I still haven't driven by it. It's, you park sideways under the building, or what? What's the deal?
The building is, it's technically oriented towards the side yard.
Yeah, yep.
So, the front, the street-facing facade is the side of the building.
Yeah, and it's 4 townhouses with parking.
Three.
Three?
3 townhouses with parking
I mean, isn't that similar to the one we saw on Weaver here? That's oriented
Yes.
towards, like you drive in the driveway and there's 3
Yes.
garages under, or
Yes.
parking under 3
Yes.
buildings.
Yes.
But that was 3, so it came to us because it wasn't, oh no, it's 4 units.
4 units.
But they weren't affordable. That's why it came to us.
No, I think that one was under the first bullet point, if I'm not mistaken. So 6 units per building, 65% lot coverage, and 3 or more
It had
bedrooms.
more than 4 units, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. So affordability.
There's more slides.
Yeah, of course there are more slides.
You teach college, right? You teach college classes, or you did, yeah.
I know I teach college classes.
Yeah, see, we're getting a lot, this is like free education.
Yeah. Thank you.
PowerPoint, yeah. He
So
knows his way
excited.
around PowerPoint.
So affordability, kind of following up the Armory and those conversations about what does affordability mean, right? So I've highlighted, so I've put in the box, the 100% affordability, because that is the highest threshold for projects to earn the priority housing incentives. I've highlighted 80 and 100 because in the next few slides when I talk about inclusionary housing, that is set at 80% price for rent and then 120% for ownership units. So a little different. And then 60% is also highlighted because that's also another way to qualify to meet the inclusionary housing requirements, is by providing less, but providing them at a rate that is considered, I think, at low income, which is 60%. So as you can see, what the rents would be at 100%. For a 1-bedroom, it'd be around $2,400 in Chittenden County. And then at 80%, it'd be around $1,950 for a 1-bedroom, and then scales.
That's what's considered affordable, with 30% of the median
Yes.
income.
Yeah, so this is rent plus utilities.
So there's no 4-bedroom on here. How is that calculated?
I think this is like a truncated version of the table that is provided by the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah.
And I think the Department of Housing and Urban Development has a much bigger one. And you can look up like HUD Fair Market. If you Google it, you can find their table. Put in the Burlington, South Burlington MSA, and it'll give you something very similar and more detailed.
So a 4-bedroom could be like $3,000.
I mean,
At 80%?
yeah, more than, potentially, yes.
But, and this is also, so this is the table that's used, this is done by the county, and.
This is done by HUD. So this is done
But I
by,
mean, like it's by county, it's not like by Winooski, so like we obviously have,
Yes.
it's not affordable for someone in Winooski necessarily, because we have a lower
yeah. So
median
HUD,
income.
so HUD calculates at the state level and at the metropolitan statistical area level. So this is Chittenden, Franklin, and Grand Isle counties, because that's what's included in the metro area.
That's a bit of a twist of the knife there, I guess.
It's expensive to live. So That's all I got in terms of opinions. So I think onto the next topic, completely different topic, transportation demand management. So before July 2025, TDM was optional, had a limited amount of set strategies, and applicants could receive a 15% parking reduction. After July 2025, it's required for projects with 20 or more dwelling units or 5,000 square feet of commercial space. Projects that are below this threshold can opt in to TDM. There are a lot more standards that applicants have to meet, and a lot more options for applicants to meet those requirements. On the flip side, for meeting those requirements and meeting those reporting requirements, so there are annual reporting, annual reporting requirements every 2 years, I should say. Then they can get a 20% parking reduction.
Reporting to the city?
Reporting to the city, yes. Yep. And then applicants opting into TDM could get a 15% parking reduction. Yep. So I don't have the full table of options that's in the current zoning right now on all the options that they would have to, that they could choose, along with the TDM plan requirements.
This is like subsidizing bus passes, that kind of, yes.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
so providing ride credits to residents, providing any sort of GMT amenity, car share amenities, mixed use developments also get a credit because that would reduce trips, and with higher points given for uses that are a higher priority in the city to have, like a grocery store or a hardware store.
What about like a hotel that has like bikes in the lobby? Does that get them less parking? Is that why I see so many hotels with bikes in the lobby now? Is that a secret amenity that they're providing that really got them 15% less parking?
I mean, I don't know about that here because I haven't reviewed any applications under this.
What if it was 50% bikes and 50% skateboards?
I don't think I'd have to check the table. I don't think it grants them that many points compared to other higher point value items, but
Sure.
it is on that table of micro mobility options provided. So,
Are you anticipating just getting a lot more data about what the need is, and like this might inform some decisions going forward?
yeah, I'm hoping to get as much data as possible on this, just to provide hopefully a better understanding of parking, because parking is like such a big question with planning commission, with city council, with everyone. And looking at, like ITE's parking manual, even looking at the ITE trip generation manual, like the calculation that I gave you, the numbers seem out of context sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I've heard from developers about what their parking demand really is, and that it doesn't match what our parking minimums are. So then I'm curious, what exactly is the parking utilization for one? And if options are provided, is that offsetting parking? Is that helping to rebalance our streets for multimodal options? Is that reducing trips and therefore hopefully reducing congestion in the process too? And hopefully we can use all of that information to help with building out future infrastructure too.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in those numbers too. I think, like, are these policies, are we like wishing that they're gonna work, but actually not seeing the numbers, or are they actually having an impact, and are we seeing the numbers that we're expecting?
Yeah, I will say for the priority housing incentives, what you had before, or what we had before, didn't work. There were no projects that were built
I was
with those
asking
incentives.
more about the TDM.
Yeah. With the TDM, I'm hoping to just keep it like this for like 5 years and not touch it and see what happens. And then my plan is to, in 5 years, like reach out to CCRPC to help with monitoring and evaluation and see if we're getting a reduced amount of vehicle trips. And if there's any changes that need to be made to this at that point in time, 2030,
Is there something in the code right now that requires a developer to report back
Yes.
on the results?
Yes, for a TDM there is.
Yeah.
They have to report every other year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
How does this correlate with the minimum one parking space? This is allowed in statute to reduce below that, or?
You can reduce below that.
You can go below one parking space.
That's just the,
Yeah, so there are municipalities that have no parking requirements. So like South Burlington, for a large part of it, doesn't have parking requirements. Burlington doesn't for a large part of it. Burlington specifically has maximum parking,
Just
no
max.
minimums.
Yep.
So yeah, we can go below 1. We just can't go above 1.
Got it.
Okay. Next slide.
No parking. I mean, the market's gonna have some effect. If you provide a place with no parking, you're not gonna be able to.
Yeah.
Are we like halfway through the slides?
You're on slide 9 of 10.
Yeah.
So changes currently under due process, inclusionary housing. This would require projects with 20 or more dwelling units to include an affordable housing component or to pay in lieu. The pay in lieu fee is at $65,000 per affordable housing unit. So applicants.
Per year?
No, it's a one time.
One time, 65K.
And it can only be
Come up-
used for
Wow.
half of the units. So if a project, so like a 20 unit project, 2 of those units would have to be affordable, and only one of them could be paid in lieu.
Huh.
And that money goes to the housing fund.
Yes, it goes to the Housing Trust Fund.
Ah.
And what is that money spent for?
We have our own, I would say, like local VHIP, so we provide grants and loans to applicants looking to make code improvements. And then there are some other, I think, like housing unit improvements. Jasmine Hurley can provide you a lot more information about that. That's my very rough understanding of it.
Is that bonus stepped, or is that gonna be here for another 10 years until these are revised again? Like the 65,000, is that?
I think, yeah, we'll have to, Jasmine and I will have to monitor rents to see if it makes sense, because that calculation is based off of a calculation difference of market rate, average market rate versus the affordable housing rents, and then and then with the cap rate taken into consideration. So what is the lifetime revenue loss? So if we're seeing a larger differential between market rate rents and the affordable housing rents, then that fee would have to be adjusted accordingly, so that way it captures that difference much better. Let's see, so applicants can either have 10% of total units at 60%, 20% of total units at 80% AMI, or 10% of total units priced for sale at 120% AMI. So a little different from the priority housing rate. And then per statute, incentives have to be provided with inclusionary regulations. So having more than the required amount of affordable housing units allows for reduced parking requirements and possibly 2 bonus floors. So this was a very lengthy conversation with the Housing Commission and Planning Commissions because on the incentives, because we don't have a whole lot of levers to pull for incentives. So City Council, yes? Yeah.
So like if they had 20 units,
Mhm.
2 units would have to be 60%, or they could pay 65, they could pay 130 to not have any?
No, you can't get rid of
What's
them all.
this?
He said you can only get rid of half of
Half.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, half of it.
Yes.
So they
For
could,
one, and
you
the other
could-
one would be 60% of the.
yeah,
Yes.
huh.
Yes.
And all projects 20 units or more have to do this?
Yes.
Hmm.
There is there's an exemption for a project like the Armory that provides all of their units priced affordably.
Right.
But it does apply to all projects with 20 or more units.
It's pretty like soft. So like, all right, you could just like build this huge place with exorbitant apartments, but you have to have like one. It's like
I'm sure a lot of thought went into it, but 65 seems low as well.
Yeah.
For the payment in lieu.
Yeah.
So
One time?
yeah, the payment in lieu was compared with like nearby municipalities and then looking at other municipalities outside the state. It was kind of a midpoint, really. It's higher than Burlington's and less than Portland, Maine's, and Portland, Maine charges $150,000.
Boom, that's where we should be.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is a 20 unit building? It's like
To build?
a couple $1 million. It's like it's a very expensive project, right?
Yeah, pretty
Hit 'em
expensive.
hard. But we want them to build in our city.
Yeah,
All right.
I guess, you
Yeah.
know, we could let it like roll for a little while before we start knocking on your process. but- Or slides, come on.
One last one, just to show you that difference. It's the same slide from before, just to show what that rate difference would be for 60 and 80% at rent versus 120% at rent, and then the dotted line for 100%, for sale, which is in our priority housing standards. So that's all I got for you.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah.
Are there any other city updates?
I won't belabor you. It's 8:53. Go home.
Okay. Nothing big we should know about.
Sorry.
Carlin, you got a
Yes.
question?
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I wanted to
Yes.
ask a question like 10 minutes ago, but.
Oh,
Sorry.
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Yes.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah,
Again.
thanks. Yeah, Eli Ogilvy again. I'm curious, so this may be a rude awakening for a lot of people in Winooski about parking, but the only reason why the Armory was getting a waiver was for setback rules, correct? Or lot size?
Maybe.
Yeah, so if they hit the minimum for parking requirements, meaning can we deny them that build because of parking? If we can't make them build more parking, is my question. Because if they comply with that 1-to-1,
Yeah, they're meeting the regulation for parking.
so if they meet the regulation for parking and they want to build it, as long as they conform to everything else, can the DRB say no?
Not because of the parking. We're following the statute. That's what the
So if
purpose of having rules is to.
So if a developer meets all of the requirements and the city doesn't like it, they still have to accept it because it meets all of the zoning.
I don't
Sure.
think we wanna get too far into like speculating about, the
Well,
Armory specific.
I'll say developer. I'll say developer builds
like
everything
for
within
the
zone.
for the form-based code, as long as they meet all the form and have the minimum number of parking spaces, it gets administratively approved and
You
they
said
build it.
the city
Those are
doesn't
the
like
gateway,
it. Do you
that's the
mean?
gateway corridor, so.
Yeah, I understand.
Do you mean the
different codes
public
and-
doesn't like it? You said the city
So
doesn't like
what I'm
it.
saying is let's say a developer builds something, meets all of the code, all the zoning requirements. The city doesn't like it, so the city public doesn't like it. Is there any power in the DRB to deny it if they're completely conforming to the code?
No, the rules are the rules.
We
Okay.
can deny it. And then it can be appealed, and generally the court throws out whatever we said, and they use our
Okay.
zoning to rule on it. So we try not to do that.
Yeah.
That's
So-
abuse of our
Yeah.
power, really.
Yeah, I'm very much supportive of the Armory project and other projects like it, and so, but I do think the public does not know this, and I think as more things get built with less and less parking, people are going to be very scared of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
And
It
considering
goes
that,
back to my previous comment about education.
yes, and I 100% agree with that. So I'm curious, because these rules aren't set by you, these are set by the state, that you have to conform to, correct?
Most
the
of-
state and the city.
The rules are mostly set by the planning commission.
Correct, in Act 47,
Is a component
There's-
of the rules.
and it required, if you had municipal infrastructure, that you had to abide by certain units.
Yes.
overriding
So as
ours.
presented,
Overriding-
yeah.
So it's
that-
overriding local
yeah.
zoning, so you can't even control that even if you wanted to.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, education is important in this case.
Yes.
Maybe I should have gone with the slides first at the top of the meeting.
Yeah.
You would have scared a lot of people.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
We should.
Are we still accepting applicants for alternates to the?
Yeah,
Yes.
you want to join the DRB?
If you have interest in this stuff.
Nope, I like transportation. That being said, I know you sound very concerned about a lot of these things. If it means anything to you, I, as someone who lives in Winooski, have been trying to live without a car for a long time, and I'm eventually getting there. But there are people in the community that really don't want to live with a car because it's expensive. So there are people out there, they don't always show up, but they exist.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, and have a great night.
He's got a long walk home.
Okay, I'd like to close the meeting.
Okay.
Awesome. And we don't need to vote. right?
Just go through the formality,
Oh,
because there's a motion
okay,
and a second
yes,
on
I'll,
minutes.
yes, I'll accept a motion to close
Motion,
meeting.
motion to close the meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Now we can go.
All right.
You gotta do all those in favor. Come on.
Oh, yes. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
Nobody doesn't
Put
want
it
to
in the notes.